This episode of Vic's Basement is brought to you by Sony and the PlayStation 4, which comes out November 15th. Greatness awaits, and I can't wait for mine. Welcome to my basement, everybody. Hello, Scott Jones, direct from New York City.
Oh, Scott's not here today.
No. Is that Pamela Anderson? Who is that?
Lonnie Anderson.
That's Lonnie Anderson.
Was it Pamela Anderson, too?
I don't
know. Is that her name?
I don't know.
The sexy one who made the sex tape?
It's
with
a terrible female impression.
Tommy Lee?
Tommy
Tallarico's.
We're 5 minutes in and you've already made fun of Tommy.
If you would like to order Tommy Tallarico's sex tape, it is $19.95. Three easy
listen,
payments.
We have a job to do. This is very serious business.
Why do we have to get so serious?
Very serious.
Why so serious?
Why so serious?
All right, some guy said last week that I always cut you off on the show.
Oh, really?
It made me feel bad. Do I cut you off?
Did you get my email?
Was that you?
No, it wasn't.
Do
me.
I cut you off?
Well,
let me just finish.
We communicate with each other. We talk to each other.
You
and this
cut
is
me
our
off
two
as
friends.
much as I cut you off.
Absolutely. We always say, listen.
Yeah. I don't know where I don't know when that started. I used to have this boss.
Hey, listen.
When I was younger.
We want to thank Sony for their support.
Yeah,
PlayStation 4 comes out November 15th.
Guess what? 10 out of 10 from me. 10 out of 10 from Dick. Go buy one now.
No, they rock. We are very, very grateful that they are supporting Vic's Basement. They are supporting good Canadian-made content.
Just North American. We're on the continent.
Because we cover both sides of the 49th parallel. But
a couple of continental gentlemen.
Yes, we are.
Continental gentlemen.
But we're very grateful to Sony and the PlayStation 4 for sponsoring the show.
Welcome back to Continental Gentlemen. Now, I had this boss when I was younger, and he would always say, "Let me tell you something," and that was exactly the moment I would stop listening.
That's right.
So when we say listen, I think that means for the other one to not hear what we're about to say.
Is it a Zelda reference?
Listen.
Is that
Navi?
What yeah,
that's Navi, I guess. Right?
Yeah, is it a Navi thing? I have a little anecdote. Can I talk about it?
I love your anecdotes.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
Okay, it does involve my daughter.
So,
all right, it was an epiphany that I had.
Wait a second, my cockles are about to get warm.
All right, here we go. Okay, so Singing in the Rain. This is kind of personal. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yep.
It's a musical.
It's one of those things I just accept about you.
Yeah, I like that stuff, man. I am a little sentimental for sure, and I have been since I was like 5 years old.
Yeah, you cry
know?
easily.
I like that stuff, and I always loved Singing in the Rain. It was a movie that I loved to watch every year when it came on television. And I'm not a young man, like a super young man anymore. So I remember when it used to be an event for the show, for the movie to appear on television, and I would scour through TV guides.
The what?
Yeah,
people don't know what that is.
Like the actual
tell them
physical.
What it is.
There were books that used to come out every week.
So you'd go to the store and buy a book, and
inside the book,
we
had a subscription because they would just arrive,
okay,
either
so
in a newspaper or
it would come to your house.
Yes,
this book would come to your house. And what's in the book?
All kinds of television information on the 13 or 20 channels that we used to have back in the day of the different types of TV
13 or 20. We had 2 or 3. We
had
had 3, 5, and 9.
I was
That's
in
all we had.
the megatropolis of Vancouver.
Jesus,
all
bro,
right?
you were spoiled with 13.
Anyways, Singing in the Rain, like Wizard of Oz and lots of other fantastic old classic movies would come on once a year or a couple times a year on specific channels.
So you'd stop working on your soapbox racer.
Yeah, exactly. I would race home from getting my my soda pop at the
I just picture a
drugstore.
Little Rascals cartoon
Totally,
with you in like a little top hat.
I absolutely was a little spanky back then, but I would scour looking for Singing in the Rain. And if it was on, everything else would stop, and I'd sit and I'd watch this movie, and I'd be so happy.
You'd be transported. What was it about this movie, though? This is the thing.
Well, it's
I want to
Gene
understand.
Kelly, man. He's
I know what it is.
I'll tell you about this movie, and I hate to sound so cheesy around this. Maybe this is kind of the stuff that got me into being an actor around. Just it's such a fantasy-filled movie. It's a homage to Hollywood and the best parts of Hollywood and the artifice of Hollywood. It's a really smart flick, and it has fantastic music in it, but Gene Kelly was otherworldly. He was so good. He was such a great actor and a great dancer, and he was so charismatic, and his performance of that set piece, of that Singing in the Rain set piece where he's dancing all over the place and he's so happy and the cop comes and he's kind of embarrassed and he has to physicalize all of that. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen on cinema, on screen ever, period. And it meant a lot to me when I was growing up, and it was absolutely inspirational. But I've now shown that exact same thing to my 19-month-old daughter on YouTube, because the whole sequence is just there on YouTube. And I showed it to her, and it blew her little mind. Like, her face just completely lit up, and her mouth was totally she couldn't believe what she was watching. And it's just so beautiful. The music is so easy to, it's so melodic and so easy to get into, and the singing and dancing is so well crafted. So of course, she's seen some Sesame Street stuff and some other stuff, but this is like some of the best ever. And then I started to think that about how easy it was for her to be able to jump into that moment.
Oh, you're thinking about your TV guide again.
Yeah, and just how there is no effort now to see the best things that we've ever created. Right now, it's just to watch stuff.
Well, not even to watch, to listen. Like, whenever I'm looking for a music track, I don't buy it necessarily. I'll go to YouTube and see if I can listen to it there.
And how far away are we from being able to play anything that has really impacted us instantly?
10 years.
Not having to download, not having to have the hard drive space, just click on something and you're immediately playing it.
I already answered 10 years.
10 years. I think it'll be less than that. But anyways, it was really a profound thing for me, because now she has been inspired at a much earlier age by Gene Kelly than I was. Well, she's already asking for it. She's already singing in the rain. She wants to see it again. She's communicating quite well, but she's really new at communicating, and she's already asking to see this clip from this movie that meant so much to me in my life.
At 19 months, has probably consumed more things than we did in the first 10 years of our lives.
Maybe. We don't really show her television or anything like that. I've shown her.
You got her on YouTube already.
Yeah, but just for that. Like, we've shown her a clip of Wizard of Oz. We've shown her a couple of Elmo things. We don't let her sit and watch TV. We don't put her in front of baby shows or anything like that. We're being very, disciplined about how much time she has in front of a screen, period. We don't just hand her an iPad or anything like that. I know, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we're just trying to hold off on that stuff because we don't want her to be addicted to it. But just the idea that she's seen something so young and has been transported into that space at so young, that she asks for it. And she was asking for Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and she Somewhere Over, like, it's just so damn cute. But then my wife said something really profound as well. And
Marcy is very smart.
She's very smart. She said that now that we can get everything, less things are special. It's really hard to find the special now that we can have everything. And I feel that is becoming true in the landscape that we have. And I guess it kind of underlines and underscores something that is going to be very important for our jobs going forward. Like, now it's a question of helping people discover things that are worth the time, because everything is at our fingertips now. And you can get lost, and you could just keep going down the rabbit hole and just watching and consuming all of this stuff. And we need choice. We need variety. We need to not watch things. We need to take a breath from things.
We need to be prudent. We need to be use more discretion.
And we need to consume the best stuff.
Well, this is the thing. We talked about this yesterday over burritos at a burrito place that I will not name. It's
Starbucks.
a chain restaurant.
Yeah.
And but we talked about the fact that when we were kids, there was a very tiny amount of content to consume, and we had our whole lives in front of us. And now there's so much more content now. Now that we're older and we have less time, in the rest of our lives, unless they perfect the robot thing where they take our heads and our brains and put it on a robot body.
Like, I'm wondering if we are like seriously entering the matrix, where we're going to be just consuming stuff and not even aware that we are. Like, it's just going to be injected into us.
I don't know what we used to do when we weren't consuming stuff. I was thinking about this the other day. What did I used to do? Because almost every moment of every day, if I'm not working or talking to you about consuming stuff, I'm consuming stuff.
Right.
I'm watching a TV show. I'm on the internet. I'm reading something. I'm watching a movie. I'm playing a video game. I'm never not consuming stuff, except maybe when I exercise on the weekend or something.
For a jog or whatever.
Yeah, that's the only time. And even then, like, I don't wear headphones, but a lot of people do. So you're still consuming a book, or or if you're listening to Audible.com or something, you can always be having stuff go into your brain. And I almost feel that my brain's at the point where it's going to start just barfing stuff out again. Like, it's just too much. Like, I've put too much stuff in there.
Well, that's why we have this second brain that helps us with these portable
you mean
electronics.
my penis?
Your penis, yeah. That's why we all have your penis.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
So But listen, you're right about the TV Guide. I hadn't thought about the TV Guide in a long time. We
Yeah.
used to get the TV Guide every week. My mom would buy it at the market. And I would do this. Even though we only had 3 channels, I was so obsessed with movies and television.
Yeah.
I knew when everything was on. I had it memorized.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
I only
for
had
sure.
3
Me
channels
too.
to memorize, but I
Totally.
would go through the whole thing, and it became this kind of running joke in my family. So what's on, Thursday night at 7:30? I
Yeah.
could tell them exactly every time, and I was like a savant when it came to the TV
Well,
Guide.
I think it impacted you. I mean, look at where you are in your life too. And
I loved
and the
all that
career,
stuff.
Right.
I wanted
mean,
to escape into the box.
And I think it's amazing. And I think you and I are part of this generation that has seen that incredible transformation, that evolution, and now there's a whole world of adult citizens that don't know a world without instant access to everything, and it's a very unique position that human beings are in right now.
Well, I mean, even
There's
look.
no effort to get anything.
Not to be crass, but even
Yeah.
look at pornography. I used to have to ride my bike about 10 miles, and I used to have to put a fake mustache on and try to convince the counterman at Wren's Market that I was old enough to buy a Playboy.
Right.
And that,
then
or
what,
else there used to be one in the woods that you could, you would find, or you'd find like a playing card with a girl, like with her top off, and that would be the only pornography I would have. Now, as soon as you get on the internet, like 3 clicks later, you are just overwhelmed with stuff.
Well, when we were in Japan, we went on a long hike to a store that you were not super enthused, and I was
Which one? What, the
we
Hot
went to the
Toys?
Hot Toys
I
store.
was okay. It was your moment. I
It
wanted you to
was,
be happy.
But that is something in my life that I do search for. I do hunt for cool collectible stuff. And then when we were shooting in the streets in Akihabara, there was awesome toy stores in every corner, and it was blowing my mind. That is something, that physicalization of these models and things like that is something that I still really dig, because there's an artisan quality to the way that this stuff gets crafted. Even if it's mass produced and it's made out of plastic or whatever, there's still some kind of connection to physicalizing an imaginated work, an imagined work. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like we are so quickly moving towards the digitization and accessible kind of space of every single, other creative work that human beings are, able to manufacture. It's a little freaky.
Yeah, I mean, even think about the fact that you used to have to travel to the Louvre to see the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
And now, if you Google the Mona Lisa, I guarantee 5,000
You get a
images
4K
of it come up.
Yeah, 4K tour that you can spin around in 3D space. You can actually probably hang upside down like Spider-Man and look at the, like the pores on the Mona Lisa's face as Leonardo da Vinci put it all together back then.
Leonardo DiCaprio. And
Yeah.
you know what? The story used to be the journey to go see the Mona Lisa, and now that's part of the story.
Dude,
is not. It wasn't necessarily seeing the Mona Lisa itself. It was how you got there.
I had to order toys from the Sears catalog. I remember Star Wars action figures, ordering them from the Sears catalog, waiting a month or 2 months before they came in, and then like feeling like I won a damn lottery when it would come in, and I'd go to the store and I'd pay my.
And now, if your Amazon the thing isn't there the next day, you start shitting.
It's unbelievable.
No, we used to have to send in like 6 proofs of purchase to get a Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And then you had to wait like 2 years for it because the waiting list they were making them as fast as they could, but they couldn't get all the Boba Fetts out the door.
I know.
Now, speaking of Boba Fetts, I saw a Boba Fett on the streets of New York
tell
playing
me
an
about the
accordion.
con. Oh, really?
Yeah, and I wanted
Was
Enzo.
he playing the Cantina theme?
Nah, he probably was. We didn't linger.
Okay.
But it was amazing. This Boba Fett was always out there every day, and I said to Enzo, the camera guy, producer, who I was traveling with in New York to New York Comic Con, I said, we got to get some footage of that.
Hi, Enzo.
We didn't stay in the same room together. We had separate rooms on separate floors.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
He is very handsome now. But New York was great. I always love going to New York City, and I love New York Comic Con because of all the cons out there. And I've been banned from San Diego for the Batman incident, but it's the one that I feel like has the darkest sort of subtext to it. Like you feel like you could get hurt there.
Yeah.
Like it's so overcrowded. They always oversell the show, and everybody's always wielding weapons and menacing each
it's
other.
The no bullshit con.
Yeah, it is.
Don't give me any lip con.
That's right. I'm walking here, con. Yeah. It's great. I love that about it. And I love seeing all these New Yorkers. And I met people there from Toronto. People who came down from Toronto for New York Comic Con, dressed in all the cosplay.
You might feel that, but the thing that's true, I think, about most geeks is
it stinks too there.
I guess they all stink. There's a uniform respect.
I know.
There's an appreciation for each other.
Nobody's going to hurt each other.
No, I mean everybody's feeling safe in that world, and I think that the cons have served a purpose to collect all of us and let us feel comfortable in our skin and in the passions that we have for all of this.
The thing that I love about going to these things is you get to kind of see what's being celebrated in pop culture right now, as measured by what people are dressing up as.
Right.
There weren't quite as many Khaleesi's as there were last year.
Okay.
I only saw one or two here and there, so it makes me think Game of Thrones is kind of on the wane in the cosplay universe right now.
Well, how many Tyrions did you see?
0.
Yeah.
No Tyrions, and maybe one or two Khaleesi's. But there were a lot of Walter Whites dressed up in the meth cooking outfit, and guys who had sprouted a goatee in a couple of days.
Yeah.
That was huge this year. Obviously, there's a billion Batmans,
it's weird
fat
that's
ones,
become
skinny ones.
Like a fan.
Yeah, because nobody dressed up as Tony Soprano. You
yeah,
know?
And he's not like a comic book. I guess he's counterculture, and he's a science nerd. Maybe that's part of it. But it's weird because it's a crime drama.
But I think it's an easy costume to pull off.
That too, yeah.
You just put on the yellow thing, and you're good for a cosplay at Comic Con.
Any Grand Theft Auto 5 cosplay?
No,
I know.
Really.
I know the 3 guys were there. I saw them on the internet.
You did?
Yeah.
That's the thing. You were here. You probably saw more of the con from here than I saw being embedded.
Yeah.
Because I'm too close to it. I thought the way they had it set up this year was better than last year. The room where they had the press area and the interviews was not below, underneath the whole convention center. It was actually up above. So you got some natural light from the skylight in the terrible Javits Center.
You met Kevin Bacon?
This is 2 years in a row. I hung out with Kevin.
0 degrees between you and Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Williamson.
Yeah.
I got a chance to have a conversation with him.
Kevin Smith?
Kevin Smith. Lots of Kevins.
Any other Kevins?
That's all the Kevins. That's the Kevin trifecta of New York Comic Con. I got to talk to Method Man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, spent some time with him.
Right on.
And
Sean Ashmore, who you don't know who that is, but
that?
he's the Iceman at the X-Men movies.
Did I meet him?
You did meet him.
How do you know?
Because Enzo told me that he said that he watches EP.
He did, but I don't always know everyone's name. They just kind of, when you're working the red carpet, they just hustle people over to you. They're like, here's blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. I've never watched your show.
I know.
So tell me what's new in season 2.
Trust me, when we did the MTV, I've done a few carpets myself, and I remember being in the MTV carpet for the movie awards. I didn't know anybody. It was, apart from, George, because they always have some of the genre stuff that comes down as well, but there's all of these MTV, music people and stuff like that I haven't watched their music videos, or I don't buy their albums or whatever. And it is. Sometimes it's nerve-wracking. It's like, how do I come up with a question, or how do I say no? I don't want to interview you.
Yeah.
To their publicist, or even because they're standing right there. And if you don't want to interview them because if they don't fit on EP, then we're not going to put them on the show. But it's sometimes a little like, we don't want you on the show, and it's a little uncomfortable to say that to somebody, isn't it?
We did Michael Imperioli, who played Christopher
great,
Moltisanti from The Sopranos. He's an old boy.
Nice.
And I did
Was
Palm.
Josh Brolin there?
No, Josh Brolin was not there. Too busy. Spike Lee, also New Yorker, not there.
Crazy.
But Palm Clementieff, who plays the heavy, who's the guy who played Vitkus in District 9.
That's Charlotte Copley.
Yeah, she's his henchman in Old Boy, and I got to interview
cool.
her.
Awesome.
It was fun. I work in the red carpet's not my favorite thing in the world, but I was in New York City. We went to Pizzeria Suprema. That's on 8th Avenue and 31st Street. If you get to New York City, try out Pizzeria Suprema. We went there twice a day, every day.
Yeah, I heard.
And by the end, Enzo and I were holding our stomachs. We're like, that's it. No more pizza.
Yeah, seriously.
We both smelled like pepperoni everywhere we went. It's those two guys from pepperoni.com.
Well, you find your places, right? It was like we had burgers in Tokyo because we were staying in a touristy
The Hawaiian
area.
burger place.
Yeah, we had those way too often.
Way too often.
Yeah. Did you play any portable games games when you were traveling at all, or what'd you do?
You know what? Not really. It
No.
was this kind of thing where I would work all day, and they're long days, so we'd get there 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, and we'd be wrapped by 6 or 7. Then I'd
Yeah.
have dinner with friends, and then we were back at the
Reconnecting.
convention first thing in the morning. Yeah, it was great to see all my New York friends. I went to Keen's Steakhouse on 36th Street
Right.
and 6th
You took me there
Avenue.
when you were still working in New York.
Did we go there?
Yeah, we did.
Oh man, I
Yeah.
love Keen's. It was
Yeah.
I had such a great meal there. I got to see some of my old friends, John Tatey from the Gamological Society,
Yep.
and Evan Narcissus from Kotaku. So during the day, work. At night, I would hug my friends. Got to see our friend Sibel Sunar from 47 Communications.
That's awesome.
Lots of nice dinners. Great to be back in New York.
That
I
is-
don't know if I could go back to New York at this point. If you ever, God forbid, let me go for whatever reason,
Yeah.
I don't know if I have it in me. It's such a crush now.
To do
Oh, we
this.
went to Midtown Comics on 40th Street
That's
and
awesome.
7th Avenue.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
Yeah, it's an amazing
That's a great
place.
store.
Yeah, I know.
we wanted to do a story on the store, but they were so crazy.
I
we
love
couldn't
New
do it.
York,
Yeah.
I love going there, and it's been a while. And that is one of the interesting things about the way that the shows are produced, because I used to travel all the time. That's how I met everybody in the business, is I would physically go to their offices and meet them at all these different things. That's how I met you. And because we're daily and we have teams in other cities, I don't travel as much. And we have this family of connections and people that we really care about that sort of make up the bulk of this video game industry all over the place, and it's sad not to see them.
You're
all.
waxing nostalgic.
Well, I'd like to see them. I
we
wish
don't
we
see
all lived in
anybody
one
up
big
here.
city.
No, that's the thing. Like,
I mean,
we're
we
up
do.
here, we keep our heads down, we get the 2 shows
We
out
do have a
every day.
lot of work to do while we're in Vancouver, so we don't really have a lot of time to get out and see everybody. I mean, we get to the studios when we can, and we do hang out with people out here, but it is a little. I do kind of miss the road a little bit sometimes.
Well, you know
Yeah.
what? In the last 4 weeks,
We did do a bit of traveling. The
Montreal,
trip,
Tokyo,
Tokyo trip, awesome.
New York, last 4 weeks of my life, I've
Yeah.
been home for 1 week. My cats don't even know who
I'm
I
going to
am.
be in Toronto for an Alienware event coming up here too.
But listen, while I was in New York,
Yeah.
at New York Comic Con, I got to meet some terrific guys. You told me I should seek these guys out. They're from a company called Project Triforce, and in fact, they are the guests on today's episode of Vic's Basement.
So joining us in the basement today are Rob and Drew from Project Triforce, one of the coolest companies in the video game space now, because they physicalize some of the assets and some of the weapons and some of the costumes that we get to play as in these video games.
Just like a lot of the superhero creatures that you guys work on, let's hear your origin story. How did this all start?
First of all those nice things you said, you're on with Triforce, right?
Yeah, we know.
Because I don't know who those wonderful characters are discussing. Yeah, thank you very much. And obviously it's reciprocated. We love you guys. We love what you do. And I'm very excited that we actually have an origin story, because that even makes us that much cooler.
Yeah, there was a bit of a in 2008 actually it started. It wasn't in Match.com. I think it was in what was it, Grindr maybe?
Something like that.
No, we're kidding. Yeah, we had both worked in the comic book and pop culture industries, so it was the industry you guys are in, and that we're in now. And we were working at the time for a magazine publication called Wizard Entertainment, as you guys might know, as Wizard Magazine. Yeah, it kind of just evolved from there. I think at first blush, Drew and I weren't big fans of each other, I'd say. He was handling PR and I was handling sales and marketing, and we often, it was a bit of a.
It was that milk chocolate and peanut butter thing, but then when we actually collided, we were like, wow.
So is that BS or is that for real? You guys really didn't like each other at first? You were natural enemies?
I mean, we weren't mortal enemies.
Yeah, it was just a different
worlds.
Different worlds. Him coming from Martha Stewart and television, and me coming from Wall Street and video games and comic books. So it was kind of like, on one hand we're both dickheads, and on the other hand,
Well, that's kind of the secret, though, right? Because there's a lot of passion, obviously, around all of this stuff, but you also do have to wear a business hat, and you have to kind of understand, the mechanics and the relationships that you have to build in order to bring your products to market. You can't just have great ideas and great passion and great fire for this stuff if you want to make a living at it. And I guess that's also part of your origin, is that you guys have put in the legwork doing maybe work that you didn't necessarily have the same fire for, but it trained you in order to be able to launch a kind of a risky business, I would imagine, with making models and statues based around video game properties, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's to answer your question, Victor, like Scott, and that's kind of where it came from, right? Drew, we slowly started befriending each other at work, and Drew was the only one who didn't, I guess, laugh at the idea that I had. You know, everyone else I took it to pretty much told me like, you know.
Rob said to me, he's like, you know what we should do, or you know what would be great, and I'm like, what? And I thought it was going to be a place to go to lunch. He said, we should make video game collectibles, really high end, and I was like, okay, like this afternoon, or
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, but like we should do that.
This weekend?
It sounded like a great idea. I mean, you looked around. What were people doing? People were doing movies. People were doing comics.
Constantly,
people were doing TV. People were doing cartoons. And where there was a huge void.
Right.
Yeah, because it was like being a long time collector of all these things, right? Comic book statues, everything from Bowen and all the old school stuff to and then the sideshow stuff as that evolved, and then growing up on comic books, video games. Video games was my first love. You know, It started with an Atari. Prior to that was what was the precursor to Atari? Was the one ColecoVision.
Well, that came out after Atari.
Oh,
It would have
was no
been the
precursor.
Magnavox Odyssey.
yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Television.
And
one-
television.
I'm not that old, guy.
My dad told me about that.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So growing up on the Atari, and we had it all, and so that was my first love. Then comic books, and then got into collecting. And I remember in the comic book boom, it was the time that Marvel, that was the up and coming, where Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, everybody split and did Image. You know, that whole hype, and that was when it was really exciting. X-Men #1 A through E covers. You know, and like we were always. Drew and I were talking about it. You always see this level of love and attention and detail go into film props and television and comics, constantly comics. But I always felt like when it came to high-end representation of high-end collectibles and stuff, video games was always looked upon as like the wicked stepsister or the ugly, stepchild or whatever you want.
Now, what's the reason behind that? Because I've been saying that for years as well. I mean, I've been going to Toy Fair probably since like 1999, and I would see all of these, incredible statues and figures and things, and I would always want video game collectibles, but they were always kind of cheeseballed. NECA's been doing some pretty good stuff. There has been some pretty interesting work starting to bubble up a little bit, but it hasn't reached that fervor. Was it partially to blame with the marketers at the video game companies themselves, or were the toy companies just not getting it? What was the reasoning behind that?
I think it was a combination of both, and I think it was seen, and this is just an opinion, as a medium that, it's video games. You're making toys of toys, in essence. And over the last, let's say, 5 to 7 years, think about the boom that's gone on in the industry, and the fact that the duties I call franchises like Call of Duty, are the highest-grossing entertainment franchises ever.
Right.
Beating Harry Potter, beating Star Wars, beating things that you can't possibly fathom.
Yeah.
And think about the talent that's working in the industry. I mean, we get to work with artists who are unbelievable.
Okay, well, we're going to get into that in a second here, but what I want to talk about right now is something very personal to me. Now, you guys are based in Manhattan. You talk about massive successes. Grand Theft Auto 5 is the biggest entertainment property that human beings have ever created, and it's from Rockstar. They're down the street from you guys, so I'm sure you've reached out to them. But what I want, and I want you to make it happen, is a John Marston statue or figure or something, man. That's one of the coolest characters I've ever seen. Just go have lunch with those guys. Can you work with them?
Yeah, actually, we worked with Rockstar Games on Max Payne 3.
There you go.
Yeah, collector's edition. Actually, we were just talking to them at New York Comic Con.
Yeah, we did the statue that came with Max Payne 3.
Yeah, and Red Dead is one of our favorite. I mean, literally, they're right down the block, and those guys are great, right? And especially, obviously, the New York camaraderie and.
Everybody loves that character. How come there hasn't been any kind of
answer this question?
Figure?
He's going to be stuck.
Yeah,
on
I
it
want
all
this
day.
figure. Like honestly, out of all the figures I could want in
we'll
games,
We're going to try.
We'll get right on it. I mean, that's a great. I mean, that's one
unbelievable
of
game.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite characters, to be honest. And we've even talked about that. When we're working on Max, like, hey, what about a John Marston? A big, again, 32-inch scale. Again, obsessing over the detail.
You've sold one. If you make it.
One sale.
We're going to need a body to sculpt it after. So.
Money in the bank.
There we go. I love it. Well, let's talk about some of the, staying on the origin theme, some of the first deals that you guys did and how those came about and how you were able to convince people to actually pay you to make some of this stuff.
Yeah, so that ties in back to the idea. So I remember we were doing Comic Cons. I think it was about our maybe 14th one that year, and Drew and I had been burnt. We were doing a lot of these Wizard Comic Cons, and we were both sitting there burnt. And I was saying to Drew, I'm a huge gamer, and I can't find any cool high-end stuff. And Drew was the only one I remember, because I had pitched the idea to a couple of friends and family members, and the reaction was always the same. Like, that's really cute. I admire your dream. Like.
I share that reaction. I empathize with that very much.
Yeah, or as my old school European father, like, Robbie, yeah, so how's work? Kind of just a brush off. And Drew, and much to his credit, was and looked at with the straightest face and said, okay, where do we start? What's the game plan? And I was like, hey, Drew, you a gamer? He's like, yeah, I'm an old school gamer. So through video games, we started, our friendship kind of evolved. And then we always had a strong working relationship, even when it was, combative at times because of the different worlds. But we were always looking for the same goal. And then, Drew said, what's the first step? And I said, well, I'm really in love with what Epic Games does. I've been playing on real tournaments since, half of my friends were still swimming in their father's nuts. And, I don't know if we could say that. So
it's all good.
It's fine.
Right? I was an old school and real tournament fan, and I said to Drew, why don't we, we had saved some money up. Why don't we dump it in creating a prototype of a Lancer and pitching it to Epic Games? And the idea of that even sounds nuts, because how many people create things and it's like, hey, we made this, and then the publisher or the developer out, the dev team says, yeah, it's great, it's awesome.
Good for you.
Yeah. So and then we caught the attention.
Honestly, it's a weird thing. It wasn't like, oh, let's do this and let's reach out to this.
Yeah.
It really just evolved. I mean, it really kind of happened like Rob just described. It was, hey, let's do this, and then we were doing it.
And we were
so it was kind of like a fan dream at the beginning. Almost like, you see cosplayers and things like that building their own props and things. So it kind of started like that. But then you had the acumen to be able to have a meeting with Epic and Microsoft and say, this is what we can do and we can sell this. And I remember those Lancer pictures. Was that the Lancer that you guys built, like Cliffy with the Lancer in the office and all that? I remember that hitting the internet, and I remember it becoming...
the one that Ice-T, right? Ice-T
yeah,
was
Ice-T
Will.
did a big unboxing, and he was Willie. The one that Cliff did was actually... Well, he has pictures with ours, I guess, but the original one, that was something that NECA had done, I believe.
Nightmare Armor Studios.
Right.
Guys. And
the evolution from there. But the Lancer being our first piece, and it was kind of okay, starting at the top, starting at the iconic weapon in the game,
the lightsaber of Gears of War.
It was easy, and
creating the first one was not easy.
It's easy.
Right, we didn't have any reference. We were going off of screenshots, and I guess that also caught their eye. Chris Byrne, the art director at the time, the obsession over details and decals that maybe they didn't even know existed in certain spots, and working so closely with the dev. I mean, Drew and I, we've been saying it quite a bit, but we genuinely, and it's not to sound like pompous, pretentious, or arrogant, although those things are fantastic. We genuinely feel we're recreating art, amazing art that these super talented guys, men and women in these dev teams, I think some of the most talented artists in the entire entertainment industry, hands down, 100%. Including film, comics, everything.
Yep.
And so we really see them as, not toys, not collectibles, but art, and we see them as love letters to the devs. We genuinely said that was the mission, right? They're a love letter to the development teams.
Right on.
And it's pretty much saying, hey, you guys created this. We don't want to put our spin on it. That was the thing we struggled with, and initially working with our first few sculptors, why don't we do my version of the Lancer? It's like, that's cares, right? It's that remove ego from us and recreate what, you fell in love with. Like you said, Marston, do you want what Rockstar created or what we believe is the representation of him? Because that's not what you fell in love with.
Well, maybe at this point it could be both. I think you guys are establishing yourselves as your own auteurs in this field as well. But
I think when you go to a concert and you hear Aerosmith, and you and I are always going to Aerosmith
all the
concerts,
time, as many, like 45 I've seen.
And they play Love in an Elevator, you want the one you hear on the radio.
That's our song.
That is. You want the radio version. You don't want Steven Tyler going off on a tangent.
No,
is he the lead singer?
Yeah.
No, I'm good.
That's a great analogy.
Well, you know what I mean. Hey guys, so I got to meet you guys at New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
You guys had a huge footprint there. You guys had literally, you were on a red carpet, I believe. The booth was beautiful. All kinds of handcrafted, beautiful works of art behind glass. What other cons are you going to, and what kind of experience did you have in New York this year?
Oh, the New York experience was great. I mean, the best thing about conventions for us is we get to meet guys like you, and we get to meet fans. And these are people who we interact with on our social media, who email us, who call the office. Some of them are customers. Some of them want to be customers. Some of them are just people who decide they want to reach out and either rip us or compliment us or whatever it is. So yeah, God bless the internet.
It's usually about the prices.
Yeah, but again, the idea of being able to sit with these people and have them say to us, "Oh my God, I got your Lancer," or "I got your M8 Avenger, and I love it. It's my favorite thing in my whole collection.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I can't wait for you to do this." I mean, that's a great thing, and we get to meet amazing people.
Is New York a bit different because it's hometown for you?
Yeah, well, we can also, I mean, obviously we do San Diego, but the biggest problem with San Diego right now
the footprint.
is a footprint. Our footprint is like a baby footprint.
I believe it's closet.
Yeah.
You got the closet-sized booth. Yeah, that's awesome.
Right, maybe an oversized closet.
When we did Toronto, we did Fan Expo, which was
awesome.
amazing. We got to go to Toronto, a city we'd never been to with the products, and we got to meet
That was a great experience.
a whole bunch of amazing people who, again, we'd interacted with, and we, we're definitely going to do the show up there again. It was very affordable, and it actually cost us less to go to Toronto than it did to do New York.
True story. I mean, I would say 3 to 4 times less.
So
wow.
that's
great. That's great.
And a shout out to the Canadian fan base. One thing we were super impressed by for everybody in Toronto was how respectful they were of the actual products and the booths and displays and ourselves. Where we were saying we were so amazed. After every day, we're usually cleaning the display cases. Beginning, during, and after the show in New York. It's a constant, like, every 2 hours we're whipping out the silicone spray. And we use, like, those high-end plasma cleaners and whatnot. And in Toronto, not a single fingerprint.
That's Canada.
That's awesome.
Polite people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we were, I'm a big fan of, people being courteous and stuff. I'm a huge fan of that. So when we saw it, we were super impressed because it allowed us to focus on being with the fans and not quote unquote doing security.
That's right.
Whereas New York.
Have you ever had any security problems? Have people tried to? Because it's pretty high. It does look like you're breaking into a museum there. They got the glass
These are
and
museum
the
quality pieces.
Have you guys ever had anybody who's just too crazed and got carried away?
Well, I had one incident. It was San Diego a few years ago. This was when we used to still display product and let people touch it. And excuse me, someone grabbed the Lancer, and like I was gonna let him pick it up anyway. But he grabbed it with like one hand. It was like kind of trying to wield it, and he smashed it into something. And then like he looked at me like, "What? What?"
Was it Tommy Tallarico?
Oh, come on.
What?
It's just like, hey, if we have something out for display that you can touch, easy.
Yeah.
You're gonna get turned.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah, we didn't. We were super impressed by that, and the questions they came with, the people from Toronto, and I guess I don't know if it's a Canadian thing, but they made great conversation, and it's
couldn't understand anybody what they said.
Yeah,
no, but,
we have some polite, smart geeks up here in Canada, man, and I'm glad that you got a chance to hang out with everybody. Let's talk about some of the stuff that you guys are working on. Obviously, Gears of War has been a successful line for you, but you've also been working with The Last of Us. You've got, I would probably hazard a guess that this year, The Last of Us and Arkham Origins are your two most important franchises.
What their new dolls are.
They're not dolls. These are museum quality statues and replicas. They don't make dolls.
That's great. I love hearing that.
Just try to make them mad.
And we showed off some cool new Origin stuff at
That's huge.
at New York, which was cool. We did the Last of Us statue for the collector's edition. We're working on a new piece, which will be a resin 24-inch statue of some of your favorite characters from The Last of Us.
Nice.
And
then we showed off this for the first time on Slatted In.
Yeah, so Origins obviously being a big one for us. Huge fans of Rocksteady, right? Great relationship with them. We want to continue what we did with Arkham City, working with WB Montreal, and
how you tease! Oh,
it's Black Mask.
Skull
face.
Man. Is it Skullio?
Black Mask.
Skullio?
Learn your Batman.
Sculler?
That's Black
That's-
Mask.
The Death
This
Skull?
is Black Mask, as you guys know, is Roman Sionis, right? And he is a new main antagonist for Batman Arkham Origins.
So creepy.
It's like my ex-wife.
Yeah, the idea. So one of the things with the Batman products we're super proud of. We work super close with the devs. When it was Rocksteady, we were working closely with Dax Skin and Paul Crocker, who was the lead writer on Arkham City. And we always try to just tie our displays or bases into the fiction. So for Nightwing, it was his. What would be Dick Grayson's weapons rack? Where does he rack his Eskrima sticks and his wrist darts?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have the Batcave per se.
Yeah.
He has his apartment, right?
Yeah.
And what does that look like? So working closely with Paul Crocker on that, we got a letter from Dick Grayson's mother 3 nights before they were murdered, and it kind of tells the story about how.
Wow.
Yeah, he had wrote the letter, and we hired someone to do cursive,
Right,
the calligraphy, just to do.
Oh my God, that's awesome! I got chills, man. That's incredible.
Yeah, and thank you, appreciate that. And the idea is it was kind of his hurt locker. We had 3 hidden components, and not only do you get his wrist darts, his Eskrima sticks, the letter, you also get a great Forever Flying Grayson's poster from the old school circus.
Right.
Again, work with Rocksteady on it, provided finance. And then the original, his first Robin badge from his armor,
Nice.
from his suit.
Nice.
So he kept the first one. It's all beat to shit and or beat to hell.
How much is this? Is this $60?
It's about $22.99, I think.
$22.99?
We don't even know yet. This got a little bit of love.
You can show.
It's getting a lot more.
It's got
Okay.
all the so again, telling a story. This is Roman's base per se, his rack.
Yeah.
All of these different masks on the bottom are the generals and lieutenants that you fight throughout the campaign.
Oh wow.
There's about 12 different masks, and they're all represented along the bottom. So each one of these.
Look at his face. Look at him.
What's really becoming clear, because today I just saw the new Batman Arkham Origins TV spot. I'm sure you guys have seen that. As we're recording this, it went today, and it's the Bruce Wayne from a kid to wearing the Batman mask, and he's getting all beat to hell in the clip. Games are making us jump into the boots and live the life of these characters in a way that we haven't been able to before. And what you guys are doing is an extension of that. You're actually letting us have the props and the masks and the weapons of these characters that we are inhabiting. It's amazing.
I'm going to class the show up for a second.
Yeah.
Alas, Puerto Uric.
First Shakespeare reference ever on the show.
That's great.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're going for. Even so, this piece alone, has a story behind it. Eric Holmes did a great way. Described him in a great way. Black Mask. He described him as faux classy.
Yeah.
He's kind of faux classy. He's very gaudy, and so he said, "Can you make the base look a little kind of like an old school marble, but not quite? Because traditionally Black Mask made the helmet from his father's coffin, right?
Yeah. Well,
Are we getting some?
Yeah, just
Yeah,
one second.
hold on
We got
one
a little
sec.
static on our end.
yeah. Okay.
But,
So
and
we'll
this is
just
kind of-
we'll just pick it up from talking about what you're doing with Arkham Origins. But are there other games that you guys are working on with this year?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
actually,
absolutely.
right behind us, and I can certainly move it forward. I don't know if you guys can see.
Yeah,
but
bring it forward.
That's one of the mechs from Hawken.
wow.
And obviously, we're again not afraid of size, and like I said, I can bring it closer. But it's a 24-inch mech. It's Patrick.
It's
And
what
that's
their
something-
hero mech.
Right,
Both creeping
that's
out
something-
again.
that's something new for us. We've done a lot of weapons, we've done a lot of character pieces. So the idea of expanding into vehicles and mechs is something cool for us. So we're having a lot of fun doing that.
So let me
Yeah,
ask you a question. Oh, go ahead, Rob. I'm sorry.
Oh no problem. I was just gonna say, obviously in New York Comic Con he was fully assembled. We've since then removed his gun arms because we're retweaking some of the details we weren't too happy with.
That's awesome.
So
What are
you see
your what I mean, just a quick flyover. What are your private lives like? Do you guys have families? Do you have people who love you and care about you and support this, or are you both married? Or
I am married. I have 2 daughters, and I have a dog named Chewbacca.
yeah, that's-
Chewbacca, also, a little side note, put me through my paces the other night. He decided that he wanted to try chocolate for the first time.
oh,
He unwrapped 16 full-size Hershey bars and took them all down. So Monday night, I got to spend in the doggy emergency room with
Oh,
him.
wow.
Oh God.
Yeah, so that was an adventure. But yeah, so,
Chewbacca.
yeah, he always said,
That's
it's
pretty
like he
good.
said in Jedi, always thinking with his stomach. So, and they're incredibly supportive. And you know,
great.
my wife always teases me and calls me a nerd, and I'm like, well, that's funny because you totally sleep with a nerd, and that makes you way worse than me. My older daughter is a huge gamer.
Huge gamer.
Huge gamer. I'll call the office and give us critiques on games. And we say-
Obsessed with achievements.
yeah, achievements and
Yeah.
loves Sonic the Hedgehog and loves Skylanders and my younger daughter is a full-on princess and she loves everything I do as long as it comes in pink.
Yeah.
And when we made the pink, the Catwoman Riddler trophy from Arkham City, she was over the moon.
That's awesome.
Daddy made me a pink trophy. Daddy made me a pink trophy.
We had also made a pink Lancer for
Right.
Cliff Blazinski's, at the time, fiance.
Right.
Right.
For Lauren. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and I remember that conversation vividly with with Cliff because we jokingly called it what was the
The
name?
Deadly Cute.
Yeah, the Deadly. Because going back and forth with Cliff, we're like, hey Cliff, why don't we trick it out with, over 1,000 Swarovski crystals? And he was like, yeah, we hand selected the exact color and everything. It's a custom paint job, and he's like, I keep calling it the Pink Lancer. I was like, why don't we call it the Deadly Cute? And we put a little pink heart and wrote Deadly Cute. And what was crazy is that made it into the game as a
multiplayer.
skin.
That's that's awesome, and that's what's a really cool kind of underline on your company is that's what's starting to happen more and more, and you are now working in tandem, and I think it's really. That's part of what makes the video game industry so special. It's so incredibly collaborative, and if you do step it up, like a lot of these guys have broken into building their own games, have either created levels or created their own indie works, and then they've become part of bigger teams, or not. But they've kind of shown their passion through their ability to get something done, and I think that's exactly what you guys did. And now you're part of the video game industry, which is awesome.
We appreciate that.
And it's an honor to be part of an industry. And again, look at just the companies that we work with.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's everybody we admire.
BioWare,
Rocksteady.
Naughty Dog, Rocksteady,
Yeah.
WB Montreal. I mean, these are just, they're off the charts, these teams. They're just extraordinarily talented people.
Vigil Games at the time.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, who are we to be working with those guys? So
Yeah,
we're
these
just
are-
trying to keep up.
these are the
That's
guys
awesome.
we admire.
Rob, I noticed we skipped over your personal life.
Oh, I mean,
Illuminate.
you could see the record online. I mean, it's pretty. Just started at JV when I was younger, but no. My girlfriend's super supportive of it. She's in
that's
the
great.
Navy. So totally different fields, but she comes to the shows and super
Actually,
supportive. Yeah.
when she came to San Diego, she was first like, I don't know, and she left with how many boxes of stuff?
Yeah, she now has the collecting bug. She's obsessed with. Now she's a collector, so her apartment is looking very much like
Wow.
my entire place.
That's amazing.
So it's she got but yeah, my family. So I have an old school European Croatian mom and dad, and they're super supportive. My father came out to New York, which was cool to see him. My parents last year. So my brother, they've always been. My parents have always kind of grounded me in work, like that old school way of, hey, you earn everything you get, you earn, So I never had the car, I had to earn that, and my dad had me mowing lawns when I was 14. So and now I thank him more than ever because of the work ethic.
That is that is it, man. You got to have passion, and you got to have work ethic, and it's paying off. Where can people buy your stuff?
ProjectTriforce.com.
Okay.
You can also check us out on Facebook at Project Triforce or follow us on Twitter. And, you sign up for our newsletter, you get first crack at products, you'll hear announcements. We always run contests.
Distributors.
On the social media.
Diamond Distributors as well.
awesome.
What about a retail store? Anything? Any plans? Anything like that?
But for us,
We've been actually kicking that up.
I mean,
it would be more of like a galleria.
Yeah.
But we've been kicking that idea around. I mean, that for sure. And I mean, and one of the things too, not to switch topics that Victor touched upon, like, being part of the industry. Now we're actually we've split the company. We're actually in this. I don't know if this is exclusive reveal or anything, but we're doing digital asset creation so you'll be playing a lot of our high quality models in future titles.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's awesome. You guys
Congratulations, guys.
you're a phenomenal story, and it's really wonderful to see, dreamers make good and work hard and hustle and get out there. And Huge fan of the work that you guys are doing.
Thank them for sending you the nice thing.
Oh
they
yeah,
sent
and
me.
you sent me one of those after Comic-Con this year. You sent me one of those kick-ass green Riddler statues, and it's prominently
We
displayed
didn't work
in my.
for 2 days. He just stared
like,
at it with his jaw hanging.
You gotta get it around the office and then find it and then scream achievement unlocked.
Yeah, it's exactly that. No, it's amazing, you guys, and thanks for being on the show.
Let's go to New York. We'll go to the workshop. We'll spend some time with these guys.
We would love to. That's awesome.
Thanks, guys.
You guys rock. Thank
Good
you
to
for
see
being
you
on the
both.
show.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much for
having
having us. Best of luck.
Mwah.
Oh, you getting kisses?
Thanks.
That's right. Kisses. See you guys soon.
Mwah.
All right.
Take
Bye,
care,
guys.
man.
See you soon.
I got some tongue.
Man, those guys are awesome.
Yep.
Super
This is
friendly.
the tough part, though. You couldn't see a lot of the things they were
No.
trying to show us.
No.
And they were showing us through a Skype window.
Yeah, which.
So they were describing the stuff, but you got to see this stuff for
And-
yourself. Go
and
to the
people
website,
will.
projecttriforce.com.
Yeah, go to projecttriforce.com, definitely. But people will soon see some of the other cool stuff that we are working on. That's not just audio related, but it's too soon to tell people what
All right.
that
Well,
is.
listen. Before we're done teasing people for today's show.
Yes.
Listen, you asked me what I was playing. What are you playing? You still playing GTA 5?
Absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely
I think I'm
love
done.
the game.
I'm done.
Really? No,
I'm out.
I love the game. I think
I'm into Batman now.
yeah, I'm into Batman too.
Yeah.
And NBA 2K14.
All right, well, you
it's
got
it's an amazing
plates.
time. Pokemon. I was playing that. I was like, man, this is fun. I get it now. This is like I'd taken a nice big long break from Pokemon, and then X and Y comes out. I download the thing. I'm like, this is really cool.
Two references today that you said things that made me want to throw up. One was Singing in the Rain,
I
and now
know.
the other one's Pokemon.
Listen,
What are you doing?
I have the heart on the show. All right,
It's not the
I
heart.
carry the heart of the show.
Scott
and
Reality
you
Check
You carry
Jones.
the practical brain power of the show, and
Fifth
that's
Estate.
how it works.
You say see it, I say don't see
I
it.
see Fifth Estate, even if it just sparks your interest in learning more about it. I know it's a bit cheeseball.
Carrie, we got screwed out of a screening. They
Yeah,
didn't
who
screen it here
cares?
in Vancouver, so forget it.
Yeah, if they didn't screen it, it's not going to be that great.
And,
That's our prediction.
Escape
Anyway.
Plan, we did not see, but I kind of want to see
I
it.
wanna see that,
and I
yeah.
have no idea why.
Maybe we'll go see it on the weekend.
I'm busy. Yeah. I'm actually going to play laser tag this weekend.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, out in Richmond.
I'll be playing Batman when I'm not hanging out with Ruby watching Singing in the Rain.
All right.
Okay, and
All
I'm
right.
sorry for being cheesy, but
That's okay. I like it.
I would
I
love
like
to
it.
hear.
I love your heart.
I would love to hear other people's thoughts on this mass consumption, everything digitized
The
world
sewer
that we're
pipe
moving
in our
into.
face.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
how are you just always?
What are we
watching
when we're-
things? How many shows and games and movies? How much stuff are you addicted to?
Right.
And how do you balance that?
What
and have a
are
real
we
life?
when we're not?
Yes.
When we're not consuming.
Right.
Who are you?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I know it sounds a little.
What about when you're making love?
well, Barry White,
Yeah.
Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, that's
No.
right. So I guess you are consuming.
No, but it does sound a little weird for us as critics and as
Consumers.
yeah, people
that's-
that communicate
But
about
it's
how
too
cool
much.
this stuff is.
But
But
We're both
yeah, but we're human beings.
saturated.
and we're trying to figure it out too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I know it's a crazy time. But anyways, we love what we get to do, and
we love the
that
PlayStation 4, even though we don't have them yet. So hey, what the hell?
I've been playing the invisible PlayStation 4. It's awesome.
Beep boop 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 boop.
And we do love you guys supporting us and listening, and we'd love your feedback. And remember, you
Did
can
I
find
cut
us,
you off today? I just cut you off
Yeah,
right there.
You can
Jesus.
find us on iTunes. You can find us on
Stitcher.
Stitcher.
Yeah, we're on Stitcher. What? I don't even know what that is.
And it's a podcast service. But we're all over the place. Look for us, and we're also at vicsbasement.com.
We're
which
ubiquitous.
and you can also download the podcast now. So if you want to store it to any device that you have, go ahead and do that. Thanght for listening,
All right,
everybody.
Franklin. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye bye now.